All right. Sterling and Leila, good to see you. Coach Dawson here. As I'm delivering this message, you're picking berries on a farm in Virginia, right?
Right, that's where it is, yeah.
Berry farm. Anyway, I'm sorry I missed Friday night. I wish I'd been there. I hear the toasts were wonderful, but I'm not sure that they probably captured all of Sterling's glory. It's weird staring at the thing. Because Sterling is a Renaissance man. The kind of guy who only comes around once every 300 or 400 years. An athlete, a chef, a fashion designer and model, an inventor, a musician, a writer, and a master teacher. Let me break these down a little bit. Sterling in the United States was only an average basketball player, but in Italy, where most Renaissance men are from, he was a beast. In fact, in the tiny town of Trieste, standing at just over 6 feet tall and weighing in at about 200 pounds, he was absolutely unstoppable on the basketball court. He was like Magic Johnson in his rookie NBA Finals tilt against the Celtics, where he played all 5 positions on the court. Sterling could dish the rock. He pounded the glass. He was a lockdown defender. He scored at will. And in fact, Sterling would probably still be in Trieste playing semi-pro ball if it weren't for the fact that he had a spate of ACL injuries. Sterling tears his ACLs with the same frequency that most people change their car oil, like once every 3 or 4 months. Fortunately for Sterling, he's not just an athlete, he's a chef. If you've had his tomato pie, you know he can cook. And at his going away party in Baltimore a little over 3 years ago, he insisted on being called the mayor of Taco City, which only master chefs get that title. From food, we move to fashion. And I'm not talking about the hats, the little hipster hats he wears all the time. I'm talking about an event that the fashion world has not forgotten 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago in Sullivan's Island, South Carolina, New Year's Day. I remember it like it was yesterday. Thousands of people had just run into the ocean. I was coming back out and I saw this single shaft of sunlight piercing through the heavens, and I looked to see where it was landing, and it was on Sterling, and there were beads of water dripping from his beard, and they were splashing down on his tummy, which was overripe from holiday feasting. And concealing his enormous pecs was a leopard skin bra, and around his man region, a hot pink lacy thong. I couldn't take my eyes off of him, and neither could anyone else there. Photographs were snapped, and later that week in every grocery store around the globe, there was Sterling Thomas in a bra and panties. And the fashion world hasn't been the same since. Like other Renaissance men, Sterling's an inventor. He's the only person I've seen wearing mesh pants, so I assume he invented them. Stitching several pairs of mesh shorts together. He's invented at least 2 drinking games I know of, Vietnam and Laundry Tears. In fact, I'm filming it from this toast from the Culkin household, where, not this particular Culkin house, but a different Culkin house is where Laundry Tears was invented. He also invented the runt formation, which has changed football forever, just as the thong changed fashion. Sterling noticed when we were coaching Fresh Soft together that our punt returns were yielding many more yards than an average offensive play. Shut up, Alan. Anyway, this is a boring story, but he invented an offensive formation in which the center snapped the ball like 30 yards backwards to a punt returner to simulate a return play, which resulted in the strange... Here, say hello to Sterling and Leila.
Hey, Sterling and Leila.
Look at it.
We love you.
Perfect. Strange phenomenon that the guy with the ball could run 20 yards forward and still lose 10 yards on the play. That was the runt formation. He's a writer. Those of you who were at the ceremony yesterday saw that he wrote that poem for Leila, which I thought was subpar because it didn't rhyme, but others in the know thought it was pretty good. He's a musician. He has a wonderful singing voice. It's sort of gravelly like his hero, Tom Waits. He's recorded music in Baltimore with Justin Baker, and it's really good. And of course, he loves music more than anyone I've ever met. He listens to more music than anyone I've ever met. And if you've ever been in the car with him, you know that the more obscure the band and more depressing their sound, the more he likes them. Which is why Lucy and I, spoiler alert, for Sterling's wedding gift, got him an album recorded in a prison. Folsom Prison. And it's not the Johnny Cash album that everyone's thinking of right now. It's actually a little more obscure and much more depressing. It's secret recordings of death row inmates in solitary confinement, wailing and weeping and gnashing their teeth, and it's all set to this acoustic guitar. It's been mixed, and it's terribly haunting. And I think Sterling's gonna love it. Finally, like all Renaissance men, he's a master teacher, training his pupils to carry his legacy forward in the world. Anyone who's seen him teach knows he's a great teacher. He does lots of things well as a teacher, but the thing that impresses me the most is he delivers a maximum of instruction that leads to a maximum of student growth that requires the minimum of grading on Sterling's part. It's insane. I remember our first year together sharing an office, and we were creating our final exams, and he said, "What's on your exam?" And I said, "Well, there's grammar, and they have to punctuate, and then there's a vocab section, and then there's a pretty long like passage ID and analysis, and then it all ends with a 5-paragraph essay, and they have to compare all the books they've read." And he said, "Wow, how long do you think that'll take you to grade?" I was like, "Well, I have 3 sections, 45-ish ninth graders, probably take the better part of 3 days." So I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "They're writing 6-word memoirs." I'm not even lying. This is inspired by Hemingway's famous 6-word memoir, Baby Shoes for Sale, Never Used. Pretty impressive. He's having his kids write those. I said, "Wow, that's creative. How long will it take you to grade those?" And he said, "Well, there's 3 sections, about 45 kids, so at least 20 minutes," which is pretty awesome. So, revolutionary teacher in that regard. I've since reduced all my writing assignments to 6 words or less, and I average like 3 or 4 more hours of sleep than I used to. But in all seriousness, Sterling is a wonderful teacher. He gets boys and now girls and boys at Latin adolescents to love reading, which is not an easy thing to do. And I was actually at Gilman last year at a peer ed thing, and I was in a room with juniors and seniors, about 10 of them. And we were going through this series of questions they had to answer, and one of them was, "Who was your favorite teacher at Gilman?" And 4 of them said Mr. Thomas. And these were guys who had him 2 or 3 years before. And it turns out the other 6 people in the room had never had Sterling. Like every kid in the room who'd had him said he was their favorite teacher. He really is an incredible teacher, very creative, inspiring, and he's incredible in lots of other ways. As a friend, as a human being, he's so genuine. He's so thoughtful and reflective. He's so kind and enthusiastic, and all of those skills are going to make him an even better husband and father than he was all of those other things. I mean, even left out the part about being an orator in his pregame pump-up speeches, but I'm not going to get into that now because it doesn't work at this point in the toast. Would have been great earlier. I regret it. But Sterling is the best. He's an incredible human being, and everyone who knows Leila knows she's even better, considerably better as a human being than Sterling is. So their marriage and their family life together is going to be a true masterpiece, befitting of a Renaissance man and a Renaissance woman. I love you guys. Happy wedding.
Cheers.
Cheers.